Hey everyone, I'm Claire Hancock with Immersion Travel Magazine, and today is the fourth and final day of the Sustainable Travel Summit. Today is all about authenticity, making sure that what you're experiencing is true to life. And one of the best ways to connect to a culture is through food. So we're going to try dishes from around the world, we're going to learn how to stay healthy while finding amazing food in every destination. Experts today include Canada UNDP, League of Kitchens, Go Eat Give, and many, many more. Our final event today is a keynote from Kelly Louise at Travel Plus Social Good, and she's going to talk about the future of travel. You can take part in every conversation in the chat window, or you can tweet at us at hashtag ITMSummit17. Visitors today will get the ebook Flavors of Life by Jessica Lepowski. Visit our website for a free download. Our sponsor today is Authentic Food Quest, a website and series of guidebooks that will show you how to have the most authentic culinary experience no matter where you are. But before we dig in, I'd like to talk to you about our Kickstarter. Immersion Travel Magazine wants to be everything that your travel magazine should be, but we can't do that without member support. So please go to our Kickstarter, sign up for a membership today, and thank you for your support. Let's eat! We're starting our Sunday off with how to keep a stomach of steel when traveling. Kevin Dimitris, a world traveler with a passion for experiencing the unknown, has a few tricks up his sleeve for not getting Montezuma's revenge when trying new foods. He also has some pretty interesting stories to share. Before we start our conversation with Kevin, let's learn a little bit more about him. A journey to the rural beaches of Nicaragua's Pacific coast turned Kevin's perception of the world inside out, and he's been chasing that feeling of freedom ever since. An adventure and culture travel enthusiast with a taste for exotic street food, ancient ruins, and indulging in native customs, Kevin enjoys nothing more than good conversations with local people in faraway lands. Forever on the lookout for opportunities to get off the beaten path, his travels have led him on expeditions through chunks of Central and South America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. An East Coast native who currently resides in Washington, D.C., Kevin spends his free time digging for new music and fantasizing about leading the Boston Celtics to their 18th NBA title. His collection of written work can be found on his website, cataraxia.com. Okay, so Kevin, welcome. Welcome to the summit. I'm so excited to have you here and to be sharing some of your knowledge, especially on eating authentic foods that might be a little different, and sharing some of your tips.
Yeah, let's get it going. I'm excited about it.
Nice, wonderful. Thank you so much. My first question is you've traveled to places all over the world, a lot of places that are very much off the beaten track. What are some of the
Okay, yeah.
most what are some of the most remote places that you've been to?
The most remote places, well, Benin to start with. The west coast of Africa is a pretty fascinating place. I went to Benin and Togo earlier. That's an experience unlike any other. But I really enjoyed it. Myanmar, absolutely. That's a very culturally authentic place. They were isolated from the West for many, many years. As such, their culture is really unspoiled. Those are the two that stand out. I've been to a couple. The Cayos Cochinos Islands off the coast of Honduras are pretty remote. You don't see many travelers out that way. There's some really cool Cambodian islands that haven't been developed yet. Kota Kiev is a personal favorite of mine. But I would say Benin and Myanmar stand out.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. I don't hear a whole lot about traveling to those places, especially Benin. So very
Yeah, it's kind of off the grid.
nice. Um, so tell us about the first time you ate something that was out of your comfort zone. What was that experience like?
um, well, the very first time I ate something different, I was in Colombia, and I was in this mountain town called San Gil, and there they eat something called hormigas, which basically translates to big butt ants.
Oh,
And what they do is they take the ant, they clip the wings off, they clip the legs off. I believe they soak it in water or something like that overnight, and then they pan fry it the day after, and then they serve it. Um, I wanted to try it because it's obviously very different.
Mhm.
I was kind of apprehensive because it's a bug.
Yeah.
But when in Rome, you're gonna try it, right? And I'll be honest with you, if I was blindfolded, if you'd given it to me, I would have thought it was something like a peanut or popcorn. It was really good, actually.
Wow.
And once I kind of get over that hump, I thought, okay, these are pretty cool. And one thing led to another, and I've expanded my horizons from a culinary standpoint.
Nice. Wow. Huh. Big,
Yeah,
big
right.
dance. That's great. Awesome. Um, so kind of going from there, what have been some other really exotic things that you've eaten?
Okay. Well, to start with, and it obviously depends on the region.
Mhm.
Iceland offers a variety of different foods that are not all that appetizing, but definitely kind of something you got to try anyways.
Mhm.
Hakarl, and I hope I'm saying these right. That's fermented shark that they keep underground, and I think they soak it in lime. I'm not really sure. Anthony Bourdain called it the most disgusting food he's ever eaten. It's definitely in that conversation. Tastes like pneumonia.
Oh,
That's
okay.
not too good. But again, it's something. But they eat it. It's an appetizer at most restaurants out there. So it's something you got to try.
Mm.
Uh, when I was in Asia, they eat a lot of insects over there. And I know if you go to Thailand, you see the people outside on Koh San Road selling the scorpions and the locusts, the crickets, things like that.
Mhm.
Uh, Cambodia also offers a variety of tarantulas, grasshoppers, things like that. Um, One of the most disgusting foods I had when I was in the Amazon, I had the innards of a peccary, which is kind of like a jungle pig. It's part of the same family.
Mhm.
That wasn't too good. It was kind of like eating a rubber hose with sand.
Oh, delicious.
Yeah, not the best thing in the world. Sheep's brain in Morocco is a thing out there, which is not as bad as it sounds, but it's still not the tastiest thing that I've ever had in my life. I've had snails; those aren't bad either. Uh, Goat intestines; those aren't too good. The hearts and the innards and stuff that comes with it is kind of they're old school foods from a time when people needed to survive,
Mhm.
and they've kind of kept that tradition. So if the opportunity presents itself, I'd like to give it a shot. I would say the most quote unquote exotic thing I've ever eaten was a beating heart of a snake in Vietnam. They
Hmm.
Yeah, they literally cut the snake open, serve you the beating heart, and then take the blood and mix it with rice wine and serve it with a shot of this blood wine. And depending on the guest of honor of the group is the one that gets the heart, everyone takes a shot of the blood wine, and then they cook the snake up. The snake is actually delicious, and the heart, believe it or not, tastes like an oyster. It wasn't bad at all, but it's definitely not the most. Kind of makes you think twice about it. It's not something
Yeah.
courage. When in Rome.
Yeah, you talked about kind of getting over that hump initially, and I could imagine that that would be a pretty big hump.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's worth a shot. You're gonna do it once, definitely worth getting into, or at least giving it a shot.
Hmm.
And but the truth to be told, a lot of these foods aren't that bad. The thing is, they're fresh, they're natural. They genuinely have some good seasoning on them. The Cambodians do a really good job of seasoning their insects, believe it or not. A tarantula in Cambodia tastes a little bit better than a tarantula in Thailand, and that's because of the seasoning.
Okay. Wow, good to know. If you're
Yeah,
gonna eat a bug, maybe go to Cambodia. Right. Okay. Very interesting. Um, so, has anything ever surprised you? You've kind of mentioned this with a couple different foods where you thought maybe it wasn't going to taste very good, and then it really surprised you with how good it was. Could you give us a couple more examples of when that happened?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, the first insects are not bad at all. Believe it or not, I the only insects I've found really repulsive are the grasshoppers and the locusts. They're very earthy,
Mm.
and I'm just not a fan of earthy type foods. I don't like mushrooms. Anything that kind of tastes like that. That said, scorpions tasted like burnt potato chips. They weren't bad at all. Yeah, right. um, the termites that I've had in Belize, they tasted like shaved carrots. Again, if you were to eat them blindfold and just kind of chump them down. They're not bad. So I would say those. Some of the more gamey foods, I wasn't a huge fan of. But reptiles not bad. Reptiles kind of taste like a mix of chicken and fish, if you will. Snake, frog legs, things like that. Really not too bad. You just kind of got to get over the hump of what it is, and ultimately, it's just meat. We all eat meat. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, protein, right? And in a lot of places around the world, especially insects, they're unlimited. So it's a source of protein that is not like what we're cows, where they're taking up so many resources just to live. I mean, insects can be a sustainable source of protein for a lot of communities around the world, and just not really the case in the United States.
Yeah, that's true. But when they add the seasoning, when they cook it right, it can be pretty good. For example, in the Amazon, they serve something called coconut grubs, and that's grubs that they get from the roots of trees, I believe, and they soak them in orange juice overnight, pan fry them the morning after. They're kind of light and crispy and almost taste like orange flavored cheese puffs. They're really not that bad if you didn't know otherwise.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Who would have thunk?
Yeah, who would have thunk? Wow. Awesome. Have any of these different foods ever upset your stomach after you ate them?
Yeah. So one food I did not enjoy at all it's called and forgive my pronunciation, Sleipnir or Bloodmore in Iceland. Okay. And what that is, it's blood, I believe it's sheep innards and fat that they put together, and I'm not sure exactly how it gets to be. It's kind of like blood pudding, I guess. Okay. And it's almost served in like a large sausage kind of package, and you slice it up, and I guess you eat it with crackers. I'm not quite sure. I tried it. That was nasty. I had a very tough time holding that down. Oh. I did the whole Andrew Zimmern thing where you got to take 2 bites and just to get the full experience. I had my 2 bites. That was it. I couldn't hold down anymore. That's in addition to that, I would say some of the salted fish that you find in more remote developing countries, and this is something globally. I've seen this in Cambodia. I've seen it in the Amazon. Matter of fact, in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine, they serve it at bars where it'll literally be a small fish or a dried, rotting fish that's salted and fermented, and they serve it with beer. That's tough to do. That's extremely tough to do. You have to drink a lot of beer just to get a little nibble. If you're going to go that path, those are the things I really can't eat. But I've tried.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds like it would be very, very difficult.
Some people can do it. It's kind of funny, if we go to a bar in America, sometimes they serve, peanuts or pretzels at the bar while you have a beer. Mm-hmm. Out in Ukraine, they serve you a bowl of dried fish, and you just take these and you kind of eat it as you drink your beer. And that's just too much. I couldn't do it. But like I said, you got to try.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's all part of the experience, right? Is when you travel and trying some of those local things. Yeah, it's all part of the experience. Sometimes more than the taste.
Get the whole immersion thing. Absolutely.
So I'm sure a lot of our viewers are probably thinking like, I don't know if I could ever do that. I couldn't bring myself to eat an insect or a dried rotting fish. But I'm curious, do you have some tricks on, making sure that the stomach ache is kind of left out of the equation, or baby steps as to how to get into authentic food like this without jumping head first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, to be honest with you, one thing I do before I travel is I really try to do like a cleanse and a detox. And what I mean by that is a lot of the sickness that travelers get when they adapt to a new cuisine is it's kind of the withdrawal from a lot of the additives that are put in U.S. foods, caffeine, sugars, things like that. That can really make a person sick. So I try to kind of get all that out of my system before I travel. So I'm kind of pure, because a lot of the food that we do eat or that you can eat in developing countries is fresh, organic, for lack of a better term, but it's very natural. And so I try to have a natural diet before I go. That makes the adaptation a lot more seamless, I guess. Okay. As far as kind of working your way into it, you drink a lot of water. A lot of water, eat natural, have water with you, and to be totally honest, bring some comfort food, or at least get someone while you're there. And by that I mean, I'm kind of a sucker for Hostess cupcakes or Butterfingers or whatever I'm in the mood for at that point in time. I'll bring some of those along just to comfort my stomach if I have to. It's come in handy a couple of times in my life before, absolutely.
Okay, good to know. And I know Authentic Food Quest, who's sponsoring this fourth day of the summit, they also talk about comfort food. I mean, it's always good to be trying these new things and be trying the authentic food, but also let yourself go and have something that you are familiar with.
Right.
Like if you go to Thailand and they have, a soup that isn't as spicy or isn't as, different, then, it's okay to try that. It's okay to have that and just to give your stomach a break before
Absolutely.
going back out there.
And have some bread handy as well. A lot of restaurants and places do have bread. That's pretty standard all over the world, or rice, something like that. That's always good to settle upset stomach. Absolutely.
Nice. Good to know. Um, so you kind of talked about a couple things you can do beforehand, maybe a cleanse to make sure that you're not going to be going off of caffeine or some of those things. Are there other things that travelers can do before they travel to kind of get their palates ready for this exotic cuisine?
Mimic the diet as much as you can. If there's a local restaurant, wherever you're traveling from, that has the same foods that you're going to be trying in whatever place that is, try to get a taste for it, see what you like and what you don't like. But definitely try to mimic that diet, or at least the type of ingredients you're going to encounter, as closely as possible. As far as it's tough to prepare yourself to try a new palate when it's brand new. If you don't have a reference point, it's really tough to kind of just not dive in head first, I guess. So, I encourage people to give it a shot. Andrew Zimmern always takes 2 bites. That's his kind of rule of thumb, and I encourage people to try that. But if you can try foods beforehand, just to get a feel for what you're getting into, by all means do it. Definitely try that. Try the seasoning so you kind of know what a lot of supermarkets carry international seasonings, so you can kind of get a feel for that. Most of the food the flavor comes from the aroma. So if you can familiarize yourself with that, you'll have a chance to really the learning curve will be a little bit less steep, I think.
I really liked your idea of going to a restaurant. So if there is a local restaurant around that serves that kind of food, I wonder if you could even go in and say, hey, I'm taking a trip to Peru, and do you have something on the menu that is very local Peruvian, something that I might come across? I wonder if that would be kind of a good way to connect also within your community and connecting with others. That might be.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully encourage that. And I'll just kind of throw this in there. What I found is that a lot of the food that, the immigrants that come to the U.S. and open up restaurants from their food that they're familiar with back wherever country they came from, they adapt it to fit the American palate. So a lot of the times, even though, we think we're trying something authentic, it's changed a little bit. For example, in my hometown, there are a ton of Peruvian chicken restaurants, and I absolutely love Peruvian chicken, to the point that when I travel abroad, I miss Peruvian chicken. However, when I went to Peru, I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I can't wait to try, real Peruvian chicken. Lo and behold, it was a lot better back in my hometown. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I didn't expect that to happen at all. Some of that's because the chickens that we get here might be a little bit more well fed. They might be a little bit fresher. Obviously, some of the ingredients that they use for the salsas might be a little bit fresher as well. That said, at the very least, you kind of get a feel for what the food looks like, the textures, and how it's going to be served. So you can kind of have a reference point in that regard. But a great thing to do really is to go and talk to the proprietor of that restaurant and kind of find out what their life story was and how they got here. For example, before I went to Myanmar, there was a Myanmar restaurant, called Myanmar restaurant, in my hometown. And when I went there for these same reasons, to kind of get a feel for the food, I learned the woman's life story. She came from Yangon, immigrated over here, opened up a restaurant, However, Myanmar food is generally a mix of Chinese and Thai and Indian. It's not really distinct any which way, and they had the staples, which for sure, which were great. But that was only the tip of the iceberg. Once I got to Myanmar, it was whoa. That's when you really see how diverse and how deep that menu gets. But having that relationship with the owner of that restaurant, she was able to point me in the right direction, tell me where to go, things to avoid, things to try, and it really kind of brings the cuisine and the culture to life, I think.
Wow, absolutely. Yeah, I think that would be such a special way to kind of start your journey and start it local, start it at home
Yeah, definitely.
before before jetting off.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So you're always out traveling. You're always off to a new adventure. Where are you
Hopefully.
headed? Where are you headed next?
So I depart for the Balkans in July.
July.
Heading into Albania, super stoked about that. Albania is a fascinating country. It's yeah, kind of like modern Europe's North Korea, or was kind of like their North Korea for a long time. After World War II, they were controlled by a insane atheist dictator that didn't really allow people to come and go. They were isolated in trade.
Hmm.
Everything is cool now. It's a lot has changed, but it's really kind of almost that area of the world. It's the original third world, kind of the final frontier of Europe. And so I'm excited to fly into Albania. I'm gonna land in Tirana. I think I'm gonna head towards the interior, towards Kosovo, because there's a ton of history there, and just kind of see what happens.
Excellent. Are there any foods in particular that you're excited to try over there?
All of them. Absolutely. From what I can gather, a lot of the food in the Balkans, it's a mix of Greek, Mediterranean, Turkish. Has a lot of influences from different regions around that part of the world. A lot of meats, a lot of vegetables, a lot of cheeses, a lot of olives, things like that. A lot of good wine. So I don't think there's going to be anything too exotic that will catch me off guard. Although I hope to find something kind of crazy. But I'm going to try it all. And at the very least, I know that they're known for their grilled meats and good wine. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Wow. That sounds like quite the trip.
Should be
Wonderful.
fun.
Nice. I'm kind of curious to learn a little bit more about local foods that you've tried. I mean, maybe not as much of um, the beating hearts of snakes.
Yeah.
But I mean, local cuisine that maybe you could take home, like take those flavors and that recipe idea home and recreate it for friends and family.
That
Maybe.
I like that train of thought. I'd encourage people to get the spices because those are authentic. You can travel a lot of space in your bag. It supports the community because you're getting, from the people that make it right there. I definitely encourage that. If you're abroad, if you can take a cooking class, highly encourage that. In Thailand, those kind of cooking classes are ubiquitous. I absolutely love Thai food and really enjoyed getting to learn more about it when I was there. So, cooking classes are one of the best ways to really connect with that culture and learn, not only what they eat, but what their daily life is about, where the food comes from, how it's sourced, how it's grown.
Yeah.
And I highly encourage people to not just go out to the local restaurant, but take a cooking class and really get a feel for that culture, the flavors, and the lifestyle that comes with it.
I absolutely agree with that. I was able to take a cooking class when I went to Chiang Mai
Okay,
in Thailand, and that was phenomenal. I spent the entire day. We went to the market. We learned about the 18 different kinds of rice that they have. Yeah, I was
I,
just I
okay,
yeah, I was so surprised. We walk up to this beautiful stand, and there's, I mean, I think yeah, it was 2 rows of 9 different kinds of rice, and they were different strains and slightly different colors and sizes, and of course, the vendor knew exactly. You could throw all the
yeah,
rice on the ground. He could tell you exactly which strain was which.
that's
And
cool.
so, yeah, I mean, it was so amazing. We picked fresh herbs out of their garden and fresh vegetables, and just made this amazing meal. And to this day, I can stand in my kitchen and I can make those same recipes and share them with my family. And it's just an
Yeah,
amazing way to relive that moment and share.
yeah, it really is cool. It's kind of that ripple effect and paying it forward. It's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I know we covered a lot of ground, but is there anything else that you'd like to share with viewers when it comes to eating authentic food?
I would say if the opportunity crosses your path, try something new, do it. By all means, do it. You don't have to like it, and you can always decline it if you don't like it. But not only for your own sake, also to support the local community. That's a great way of paying it forward, connecting with the people, getting to know what they like, what they don't like, how they live their lives, and it's really, how they say, buy local, eat local. When you travel, please do that. Try to avoid the American fast food chains if possible, and kind of give that money back to the community so they can continue to thrive and do what they're doing.
Nice. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that wonderful advice. And yeah, thank you again for being here today. And I'm really excited to be sharing all this great information.
Thanks for having me, Claire. I appreciate it.